All right, good afternoon, 8th graders. Today, Hi. Today we are going to continue our investigation on the formation of the Great Lakes. So yesterday we started talking about glaciers. Can anybody recall what we covered yesterday? Ellen?
Plastic flow.
Yeah, plastic flow is a type of, anybody fill in the blank there?
Glacial movement.
Glacial movement, thank you. So we're going to go from our discussion on glaciers moving and the processes into the budget of glacier. So think about what a budget is. I'm just going to jot that down on the board. All right, who can tell me what a budget is? Just in general. Or does anybody have a budget that they go by? Rachel?
My allowance.
Your allowance, perfect. Anybody else have any kind of budget they use in their day-to-day life? Ellen?
Sometimes I budget my time and I say this sacrifice from this time to this time.
Perfect, yeah, that's great. Stephen, did you have one?
Yeah, my mom and dad say I have to budget the stuff I download on my phone.
Oh, I agree with your parents on that one. All right, so we're going to be talking about the glacier budget today. I'm going to hand out your notes for the day. You guys took a lot of notes handwritten yesterday, so I did a favor for you. I typed them up. So if you want to get your highlighters out. You want to pass those down for me? Did you enjoy your pasties for lunch, Jake? Pasties for lunch. They were great, huh?
Yeah.
I thought that's what you guys had for lunch today. Okay, so we're going to go through this note sheet together. And remember, Rachel had a great example. She said she has a budget for her allowance. So keep that kind of in the back of your head while we read through these notes, because the glacier has a budget as well. And we're going to start right at the top there. Do I have a volunteer to read that one? Oh, and before, I want you guys to get your highlighters out, because I don't have any of the terms. There's a lot of vocabulary terms within this paper, so I want you to highlight those as we go through. And I'll make sure you're highlighting the right ones. But let's read that first paragraph up top there. Go ahead, Steve.
Glaciers and ice sheets are formed in areas where there is more snowfall or ice buildup in the winter than melts during the summer. The glacial budget refers to the balance or lack of balance between different zones of the glacier.
Great, thank you. All right, so we just named a few kinds of budgets. So basically what we can come to term a glacier budget is the balance there between the different zones, which we'll get to. So go ahead and highlight glacial budget. And then we'll start on glacial zones. Do I have a volunteer to read? Go ahead, Amy.
Snow accumulation and ice formation occur in the zone of accumulation. This zone is bordered by the snow line, which is the elevation above which snow remains throughout the year. Above the snow line in the zone of accumulation, the addition of yearly snow and ice thickens the glacier and promotes movement.
Great. Can you tell us what you think we should highlight there? What terms did you pick out?
Oh, well,
Or did anybody that was
zone
listening?
of accumulation.
Zone of accumulation, yep. So go ahead and highlight zone of accumulation. Somebody tell me what happens there, zone of accumulation? Rachel?
Snow accumulation and ice formation.
Perfect. Did anybody else find a term that they highlighted? Mary?
Maybe the snow line.
Snow line, exactly. And what would you define the snow line as?
It's the elevation above which snow remains throughout the year.
Excellent. Let's move on to that second paragraph under glacial zones. Lisa?
Beyond the snow line, all snow is melted from the previous year along with some glacial ice. This area is the zone of wastage. The processes by which snow and ice are lost in the zone of wastage is termed ablation.
Perfect. That one was kind of an easy one. Go ahead and highlight ablation. And there's another term in there that I'd like to have highlighted. Somebody tell me what they think that one is. Stephen?
Zone of wastage.
Zone of wastage. Yes. So we've got two zones. What are they?
Zone of wastage.
Yep, and the other one?
Zone of accumulation.
Zone of accumulation, great. All right, so then we're gonna continue advancing, retreating, and stationary glaciers. I'm sure you've all heard of the Greenland Glacier. There's a lot of talk about advancement and retreatment of that. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah? Okay, so, we're gonna try to figure out what that means when somebody says it's advancing or retreating. So who would like to read advancing for me? Go ahead, Shane.
Advancing occurs when ice accumulation exceeds ablation. Snowfall remains year-round.
Okay, so advancing, we've got the zone of accumulation. When that stays there, the snow that's fallen that year, when that stays there year-round, doesn't melt off, that is when the glacier will advance. And we've got more accumulation than ablation. How about retreating? Thank you, Ellen.
Retreating occurs when ablation is greater than accumulation, less annual snowfall, warming trend increases melting and evaporation.
Thank you. All right, there's one more, if you want to grab a pencil, there's one more process that occurs when glaciers retreat. It's called calving, so go ahead and pencil that in.
How do you spell that?
I'll put it on the board right up here. All right, calving happens when, at the end of the glacier, there's big ice chunks that fall off into a sea, and those ice chunks float off. That's what calving is. So you can just put that one down there next to retreating. That's a ablation process. And then we've got one more. Who'd like to read stationary for me? John, we haven't heard from you. Would you please read that one?
Sure. Stationary occurs when equilibrium between accumulation and ablation is reached.
All right, so if we think about Rachel's allowance, if she does so much work and she saves her allowance and doesn't spend any of her money, she's kind of got a stationary balance there. Is that correct? If she, do you agree? Do you disagree? Oh, I thought you shook your head no. Okay, so what if Rachel's allowance, she does a whole bunch of work and saves up a whole bunch of money and her bank account grows? What would that be an example of? Advancing. All right, great. So I have one more thing for you guys to do today. If you want to go ahead and, oh, you can read the little notes there at the bottom too. Those are just reminders. If you turn your sheet over, while I'm going to draw this diagram on the board, you guys can think about what goes there. Do you not? Well, if you want to go ahead and look on to somebody. Oh, there's the next one right there. Perfect. All right, so go ahead and think about what is, where these zones would go and these definitions from your front page would go where. And then if you finish, I'm going to draw this on the board. We'll do it together. If you finish, go down to number 2 and in your own words try to write what you know about a glacier's budget. Does anyone need a little bit more time? All right, if I could have everybody's eyes up here. I'm gonna have, I'd like to up here on the board. So what do you guys think is happening right here? In this one, what did anybody put for this top label here? Ellen?
Zone of accumulation.
Correct, zone of accumulation. Remember, this isn't a worksheet, it's not graded, so if you made mistakes, go ahead and change them. This is just for your notes. How about right here? What did people put for that one? Yeah, Lisa?
Zone of wastage.
Zone of wastage. All right, let's label this one. This is in the zone of wastage. What do we think that could be? Shane?
Ablation.
What did you say?
Wait.
It is a process of ablation, yep. Can you be more specific? What's a process?
Yeah, we can do melting. Evaporation.
There we go. All right, one more down here. What were these? Mary?
Cabin?
Yeah, great. How about this one right here? This one's kind of tricky. This is this. Jake?
With the snow line?
It is the snow line. And one more. We didn't really talk about this, but it is on your notes. It's that last one there. Who knows it? Emily, do you know it? This last one right here? There it is. Good job. All right, so if you have any confusions or curiosities, write them in there, and I'll have you hand this in just to make sure we're all on the same page. And tomorrow, remember to wear short sleeves because we've got the lab on glacial erosion and deposition.